Okay, everyone. Welcome to CHILDish Summer Camp 2025. Today on content writing, we'll be talking about understanding writing styles. And if you have been with us for our right so now, you would understand that here we are merging content writing and your target audience together. So you have to understand that writing has its varieties of style, and it's this style that makes it interesting. It's the one that gives you the definition on the kind of book you're reading, how the writer is thinking, and you have to decipher which style the writer is using. So on our next slide, we're talking about my next slide. Okay. Our next slide says writing styles are the way in which we express ourselves through writing, just like how we have different personalities. Writing styles can vary depending on the purpose, audience, and tone. If you're trying to write to a child in primary two, you won't bring in syllables from primary six or a tertiary institution to give to a child to read. When you're trying to define a computer to a child, you don't start defining hardware and software. All you have to do is bring it down, draw the computer, tell the child when you do like this is what you have at the end of the day. You break it down in such a way that the child will understand. That's why they brought out this tablet where when you are supposed to learn mathematics, to give you some tiles and tell it to count in tallies. So that's how they do their math. So when you're writing, this is how writing style is categorized. When you're writing, you know your audience and you know the purpose of what you're writing. You know your audience and the tone you're using to talk to them. So you don't use if your writing is supposed to be a professional writing, you don't write it in a jovial manner. You don't write it in a comic relieving manner. If you are writing for a description, you know how detailed you have to be, which takes us to types of writing styles. We have about 6 types of writing styles, but based on this context, we'll be narrowing on about we'll talk about just 5 of them. Yeah. So we have this so we have narrative, which is a type of writing that you tell a story. We have descriptive, which is a type of writing which you gain to paint a picture. You're trying to describe, you want to describe me, you talk, this guy has a big head, he has buggy eyes, he's tall. Yeah, those are descriptive writing. You're trying to paint a picture for your audience, excuse me, for your audience to see. Okay, so expository, you tend to explain the facts to get, you explain everything about them. So these are the list of them. I will digress into them one by one. So narrative, tell a story. You could tell a story of how you had a dog where your mom doesn't like dogs, but then something happened, and then a neighboring dog saved her. And then from that point, she now picked interest in getting a dog. She now said, okay, dogs are for security. Okay, I would prefer you get the dog so we can to get. So those are narratives. You tell a story of how you lost your bag in school or in your school bus, or how you found out that your bag was not actually in the school bus, but your friend assisted you to take it home. So when you got to school the next day, you got it from your friend. Those are narrative. You give your audience the narrative of what you're trying to say. To get, you tell a story and then you bring it into conclusion, telling the audience that you actually got your bag from your friend. It was actually kept for you. So our next slide talks about descriptive, where you tend to paint a picture, like I previously said, that you be like I previously said, that you would be giving us a descriptive picture of a location. You get, you'll be describing the picture of a location and picture of an object. Let's say you want to describe what, let's say you want to describe an orange. You won't say an orange is square. You say an orange is, it's circular, it's oval. Just for descriptive actually means you are trying to paint a picture for a blind person to see, because while you are reading, it is assumed that you are blind. So this picture is supposed to give you mappings, your mind mappings on how to understand what the writer is putting out there. You get. So so I was talking about the descriptive, and then we also have the expository. Expository, where you tend to define the facts. You explain everything about what you're writing about. Yeah. So when you're explaining all this stuff, you write providing information, or you explain a topic. Let's say you're writing an essay where you tend to write about how you spent your last holiday, or how you had an excursion in school, and you have to explain all these things. Or let's say you're trying to write a textbook where you get to write all those chapters in and out of it, just to ensure that you get your readers along with you till you get to the end of it. So now we also have another one. We also have another one, persuasive, where you are writing in such a way that you want to convince your reader. You're writing in such a way that they have to be convinced that this is not an orange. Let's say, for example, you're trying to convince your reader that the orange which you lick was called an orange because it is orange in color. Now you will see that the orange we have in Nigeria here is green. So why didn't we call it green? But the orange that's in overseas, it's orange in color. So you would try to write in such a way that your reader has to be convinced that the orange called orange is actually orange in color. That's why it is named after the color orange. You get. So you write with facts, telling them how it emanated, that this that came up is because they first saw an orange in an orange color. That is why it was tagged an orange. Or you're trying to relate them back to the color. Why you called a cloth orange? Because you are reflecting it back, relating it back to what an orange is. So persuasive writing tries to convince the reader that what they actually see is what it means from what you're writing. They're taking them out from the contemporaries, all they see in reality. They're trying to convince them. It's like writing the fiction. They're trying to write about Superman. So when you're writing about Superman, you're trying to tell them, Superman is not just a mere man you see the way we see him. So he's actually strong because of his planet. Everyone in their planets are built in that structure. So they have to be that strong. But they also have a weakness, which is the kryptonite. From the reason why you're trying to tell them why they have a weakness, that this kryptonite was made when they were created. So that is why that kryptonite is a weakness to them. You get. So you're trying to persuade your readers to understand with you that whatever they are reading is actually the truth, and you are convincing them that what you've given to them is the actual fact. So we now go into creative. Creative writing is what we do most times, and creative writing is when we get wild with our thoughts, where you write out of your expression, you express your imagination. Creative writing does not have boundaries. It's writing what you see. It's painting what is in your mind for your readers to research and like, wow, so this is how it is. They're trying to write about, let's have a creative idea here. Let's say you want to talk about the seven wonders of the world, or let's talk about the Bermuda Triangle. So this Bermuda Triangle, people don't have vast knowledge about it, but you want to paint an idea to them. So you're imagining what could happen they say that it's like Bermuda Triangle is like a bottomless pit. Some will tell you that Bermuda Triangle is like hell. They'll tell you that that is the end of the world. So you are trying to be creative about it. You're writing Bermuda Triangle. What if Bermuda Triangle is like a portal to another world? What if Bermuda Triangle is like a portal where you move to Mars or Jupiter? Then they say in Bermuda Triangle that nothing ever goes in and comes out again. They said if a plane passes through a Bermuda Triangle, it is going to be that it has a magnetic force. You listen to a lot of conspiracy theories about it that when once a plane passes through the Bermuda Triangle, it sucks out, and then along the line we hear 100 years ago and then someone gives a counter for it that 100 years ago the train was absorbed by Bermuda Triangle, but today the plane has been surfaced, and then the train has lost its trajectory, that they have seen bones inside it. So those are writings that entails creativity and makes you express your imagination. They might not be true, but they're just trying to write out the obvious. What if this happened? What if this is not how it is? So that is about creative writing. So I from our first slide where we talked about this technical writing. Technical writing, like I said, I was not going to put it into the syllabus because it's too advanced. Technical writing is how this writing, it's a type of writing that instructs your readers. Like you see in your phone manuals, you have how to switch on your phone. Those are technical writings. How to switch on your phones, how to turn off your phones, how to put in your SIM. Those are technical writings. And then academic writings are just how you analyze, taking out data outside, you go get sample opinions from people, and then inform your readers as well with research. Like when you are watching documentaries on TVs, they will tell you, okay, 2005, we had over 5,000 Nigerians that put to birth. They'll tell you 3 years ago, we had 15 people that were graduates from so community. So those are academic writings which consist of researches and analysis done so far. So how to engage your audience? How do you engage your audience? How do you keep them glued to your scripting till you are done writing, like till they're done reading what you've written? You know, people when they are doing Facebook posts and all, they have a lot of writings out there to write. The first you need to start with the hook. Yeah. Yep. Let me enlarge this so we would see. Yeah. How to engage your audience. First, you need to know your audience. Use clear and concise language. Make it interesting. Then you use a conventional tone. Now, when you are talking about this, you have to know your audience first off. Let's use a classroom, for example, a school, for example. So in school, you have people from the crèche, the kindergarten, the nursery, the primary, and the secondary and tertiary, as the case may be. So you need to know the class you are talking to. Facebook is a big space, so I have to use the school settings, for example. So the kind of audience you have in crèche, you don't have them in kindergarten, you don't have them in nursery, you don't have them in primary, neither do you have them in tertiary as well, secondary and tertiary as well. So you talk to your audience the way based on their age categories. So when you're telling your audience this stuff, you don't assume that they know it. You should know that whatever content you're writing for them, that they actually can comprehend it. You don't give them big vocabularies and expect them to understand. Imagine telling them about uh none has come to my head for now. So imagine trying to explain okay, since I'm an engineer, I let me just bring this back. Okay. Let me talk about electricity. I think that's the only thing that comes to my mind because I studied electrical engineering. So, well, let's talk about let's talk about electricity. For example, if I want to know my audience, I cannot start talking about electricity to a child that is in primary school, or yeah, I can, but then I have to. Okay. Let's do it this way. I want to talk about electricity, and then for me to explain what electricity is, I want to talk about electricity to a child that is in primary one. First, I know that this child is in primary one, so he or she should be in the age gap of 5 to 7 or 3 to 4. Yeah. So at least in their house, they know how to turn on the TV, they know how to switch on their sockets, they know how to charge phones, they see the lights. So obviously, whatever I have to explain, I have to curtail it to what I'm explaining them. I don't have to tell them about Thevenin's theorem, Ohm's law, or first principle, all those stuff. I don't have to talk about that. Those are jargons for them because they don't concern themselves. The audience does not concern themselves with all you have to say, all those big languages. They are not, they're not in for it. So you have to know your audience. So now I'm talking to a child in primary one about electricity. So I'll tell this child, yeah, so electricity is the flow of current, like flow of current. What is current? So now I'll now tell the child that before you see a light pass through, or before you see a light in your house, there are lots and lots of things in the background. So I'll tell the child that for you to on your switch, that there are things called electrons. These are big terminologies, but then you have to relate it in such a way that your audience, like this is the second point we're talking about, use clear and concise language. You use it in such a way that they understand, which pushes us to the third, which is making it interesting. You put analogies in such a way that they have to understand what the message you're trying to pass across to them. And then you use a conversational tone. Yeah. So this is how it goes. I want to tell a child about the light. Imagine switching on your light switch. It happens like magic, but there are a lot of works in the background. So they have electrons which are running, you make it interesting. They have electrons which are running for it to on that switch. So it's like a race between the negative and the positive. So they are running to see who gets to the finish line first. Finish line in there is completion of the circuit. So completion of the circuit. So which of them runs first have to get to the line first. So the two of them are on a race to run to the line. And once the two of them reaches the end line, that is when your light comes on. But to you as a child or to you as the end user, all you need is to just touch that switch and then it comes on. But you doing that work, there are a lot of things that are working in the background. So using the conversational tone, you tell the child, okay, what do you think about your phone screen? There are a lot of things that are happening behind it. You just press one and then number one just pops up. But underneath, there are series of codes that are written that their computer languages are written underneath that is a jargon for that child. But once you press one, one pops up, two pops up, three pops up. So when you get all this thing outlined, you will know that you can engage your audience and make it interesting for them and use conversational tone so that they can understand all you have to say in your presentation or in your writing per se. So with that, we'll move to our next stuff, storytelling in content writing. Yeah. So storytelling in content writing is you engaging your readers as well through writing. It's like painting this picture so that they can see what it is. So storytelling here is the art of sharing stories that transports us into the new world, introduces us to new characters, evoke emotions. Like I said, when I talked about that Bermuda Triangle, yeah, so it takes you into a new world. It shapes your mind like, oh wow, so this kind of thing happens. Oh, so if something falls in here now, it does not come out. Or do you know that scenario where you having sleeping paralysis? Maybe you are sleeping and then you find yourself stiff and you cannot wake up. Yeah, you can actually bring that into writing. in African, we are parents to tell us, which they press your neck. Yeah. So there's an evil spirit in their house, but these are just sleeping paralysis, you get. So when you write about this stuff, you can explain with evidence. You explain, make it conversational, make it interesting, point out your facts, clearly point out your facts, and introduce new characters. We're talking about characters. Yeah, I'll go deep into characters for us to write now. So your stories can be fictional, can be fiction or non-fiction, and they can be told through various mediums, such as books, movies, or even oral tradition. Yeah, where they say, if a cock crows at night, don't allow that cock to survive, kill it and eat. To get like they have superstitious belief. Yeah. So our next slide, we have elements of short stories. First, we have characters, the people or animals that drive the story forward. So in each of your story, you have characters in there. You have the people, you have animals, you have objects. Those are characters in which you have to keep. Yeah. So now in this character, they say each person has hecka of characters in them. So it's like you having your own personality. And then whatever you invite in, this is about writing. Character is about writing. So it's you as a writer, you have characters. It means you have your own acres of land. It's like having acres of land. So in your land, you are the one that can decide who should cross the boundary. You know what you want to build with your house. You know how you want to do it. So it's you that is going to decide. I will introduce this person into my character. Let me introduce Amanda. Okay, I'm using Amarachi for example. Okay, let me introduce Amarachi to my character. I want to tell a short story. And let me introduce Amarachi into my story. Amarachi here is a very industrious lady, and uh, she is the main character I'll be talking about. And then I will now invite other characters in it. I'll bring Sophia. So now I have Amarachi and Sophia in my character, my story characters now. And then I'll bring a dog, which is an animal, and Amarachi has a dog and Sophia has a cat. And then we know that dogs and cats don't mingle. So now Amarachi, Sophia is Amarachi's friend, but then Sophia has a kind of personality that she demeans people. She does not see you as an equal. And then Amarachi is this kind of a personality. I'm still in my character setting. So Amarachi is this kind of person that is reserved and doesn't like showing off, and then ensures that uh, ensures that she gets the job done. Whereas Sophie in this her workspace is a proud and I want to be observed in my workspace. You get. So now the plot, now the sequence of events that makes up the story, sequence of events is what I'm saying. I've now introduced a workspace into it. Yeah, I've introduced the workspace into it, which is the sequence of events that will be happening. The setting, which is the time and place where a story take place, I will now inject the time into it. Okay, I'll say in the morning when Amachi left the house, I've set that time and place which I'm talking about. Now in the conflict, where we say conflict now, the challenge or the problem that the character faces. I'll now talk about how Amarachi faces kind of humiliation at the office because of Sophia. Whereas Amarachi is a superior and then Sophia is just a subordinate. But because she obtains favor from the higher rank, she makes it look as if she's the one that does all the job. And she's very proactive and all. Then resolution is where I'll talk about how other staffs, now I'm bringing other people into the characters, how other staffs observe that Amachi is very industrious hardworking, and very humble to the core. That it happened in such a way that I now bring in Sophie. Sophie stood Amarachi up in a meeting where she knew very well that Amarachi was not prepared for that meeting. She now called Amarachi, please make a presentation or tell us how this can be solved without proper information or prior information that would have been given for Amarachi to prepare a slide or prepare how she was going to make the team work together. She just choose to stay by herself to make sure that she demeans Amarachi in this my story. But then Amarachi, being that she has been in the game for a very long time, so she understands impromptu meetings and impromptu presentation, how it works. So she quickly rushed into it and does like the story entails the beginning, the middle, the mid part where you have all that stuff's coming, your challenges. Like she just injects a element of stories into her presentation and ensures that everything was now pulled out. So the resolution is that the outcome of the story is that Amachi was able to do her presentation despite the fact that Sophie, on the other hand, was trying to make sure that she sees her downfall in that meeting. So at the end of the day, at the conclusion of the story, it is now observed and noted that Amarachi exhibited a lot of good characters, which you now related to people around you. Amarachi exhibited a good character where she was insulted by her colleague so that she can she'll be demeaned in the meeting, but then she comported herself and ensured that everything was out and good. So the outcome is that she did not talk back anything to Sophie. She maintained her calm and everything went out successfully. So despite Sophie's wickedness or bad heart did not affect Amachi's story. Amachi's story was still good from the beginning to the end. So I think we've talked a lot about that. So how do you craft a short story? There was this slide I saw. It's like this is how the thing was. It was a short story is like leaving your house, going to work, and coming back home. That's a very short story. But in that short story, there are no complexity in it. You don't tell how you were stuck in traffic. You don't tell how you had issues with your boss. You don't tell how, okay, as a child, you not tell us how, okay, okay, our time is running out, so let's rush and get this closed with. So first, you start with a hook. Like we started our brief story where they tell you, okay, the hook is how do you treat an annoying boss, or how do you treat an annoying subject in a child perspective? I'll go back. How do you treat a topic you don't understand? First, develop your characters. You start with the hook, develop your characters. You build in your compelling plots where we talked about getting the settings, the time and spaces. Use descriptive languages to describe how the events unfolded. I think I've talked about all this thing in the explanation I had. Yeah. So you describe everything that happened, and then you now go back to your story. If you can observe properly, while I was telling that story, I was still shabbering, getting thoughts from back and forth to ensure that it makes sense. But when you're writing, you have the ability, you have the power to edit and also revise your vocabularies. Maybe if I use the bigger term, you can go back and take it back. No, this is not supposed to be here. Take it out. In that way, you would have a proper storytelling script. So I think we are getting to the end of this. In conclusion, ensure you read widely to understand various writing styles and storytelling techniques. So while you do this, you have to write regularly to develop your writing skills and finding your unique voice. Your first time, you will not do well. You won't do so well in your first time. You'll be shaking like, I think I'm making a mistake. I think I'm making a mistake. But then there's always something I keep saying that when you're writing, there's something we call shitty first draft. To just write whatever comes into your mind, put it out there. When you're done, You go back, like I stated here in this slide, you edit and revise. So don't be afraid to think outside. Your thoughts are valid enough. No one needs to validate whatever you think. Just bring out your thoughts. Bring it out. When you are done, you edit it. I think this is not supposed to be. I think I'm releasing too much personal information. How about we restructure it so it not look as if I'm trying to tell someone about my life? You get now. Share your story with others. Ask for feedback and improve your skills. Now you tell me, okay, we have a group, or you can have groups of writers as well, where you write back your shitty first draft. Okay, take a look at this. How did I put this? Someone will tell you, I think this is your story. I don't understand this part. Once someone tells you, I don't understand this part of your story, just know that you've derailed. You get. So that person will tell you, what if you write it this way? I think your reader will understand it better. So why we give people to read our script is because since you're the one writing, you understand what you're trying to disseminate to the person. But someone that's reading is reading like someone that's never seen your script before. So they have that ability to tell you your mistakes so you can correct and then improve, give them feedback to improve your skills. So thank you very much for joining our class. I think I've taken a lot of your time today. So do you have any questions? Ask us and I'm ready to answer. You have 5 minutes to ask your questions. March, are you with me? Hello?
Yes, I'm here. I'm
Okay.
here.
Okay. So do you have any question or you could go back?
No.
Okay. So how did you see the class?
It was interesting and very educational.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. If you have any further question, well, you go through our materials, you would ask us and then we'll respond. But then we have a little assignment for you. Yeah, so what we have is this. We'll drop it in the group as well. So use the elements and tips that was outlined into this class. Don't worry too much about your grammar, your spelling. Just focus on having fun and just tell us a great story. You get? Just tell us a great story about whatever you wish to tell us. Tell us a great story and then drop it on our platform and we'll give you feedback on that. We'll give you where to correct. So write about, this is a topic, write about someone who lost something valuable and the tons of events involved in it for the person to find it back. Just write about, let me go over it again. Write a story about a character who lost something very valuable, and then the turns out of events involved in finding it and getting it back. Like I told you the previous one, where you lost the bag and how you got the bag. Maybe you lost your phone in the taxi. How did you get it back? Just unfold the whole story for us. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining our class. I'll see you on Saturday. Do have a nice day.